Pina Somanda Gosi Somanda Kaliwe Zulu Tinasi Kalela kuwe Taliwo Mhlawa.
Molweni, the Insider SA, igama lam nguMandisi. Welcome to my working space here in Cape Town. I grew up in Port Elizabeth, which is now called Gqeberha. I grew up in a family house. At some point in my house, there were 16 people living in my house. But the joy of that was that in a house like that, music and singing is natural. They were older than me, so they'd started singing in the church choirs and they were playing in church bands, and then they'd come back with hymn books and with music, choral music, and they would be practicing in the house. And so my ear gravitated towards those things, and I would just be mimicking and singing until people noticed that I got these things easy. I'd hear a song and I would sing it tomorrow. In my primary school, Pentla Primary School, I was very much involved in the choir. And so we were singing once, and I was singing a solo or something like that, and I got spotted and I got given a scholarship. And I went to the then Model C schools, which was Pearson High. Everything changed. Access, I walked into a music room which had a piano, and which had not one piano, two pianos, and I could choose and I could sit on a piano all day. I could rent the trumpet from the school. I had a music teacher, I had a singing teacher, and I think that just confirmed what I was going to be. And from then onwards, probably the first day in grade 8, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And then after matric, then I got a bursary and I came to UCT.
From university on, he grew into a composer, singer, and producer of jazz, classical, and African indigenous music, but not before accepting some of music's hard truths.
You come into a music institution and you realize, number one, you're not as good as you thought you were. There's something that you are going to need to do to become better, and to succeed in what you've chosen. And for me, it was discipline, consistency, diligence. Talent is part of it, but if you're not as diligent and consistent in the work that you do, you will not succeed. And it's still the ethos that I live today.
His vocal technique and everything is just incredible. And also it's powerful. I think that's one of the main draws and catches to his voice. And then in terms of writing, he's a trumpeter and a vocalist. So he writes like amazing melodies, but even with chords and rhythms, he knows it all.
I don't have a process of writing music, but I think as a musician, the most important thing that you can have is to be empathetic to everything that is happening around you. So politics, socioeconomics, personal things affect you. And because they do that, you're bound to want to express that. And my way of expressing it is through music. I always say that the trumpet is my closest friend, my most honest friend, because it stays constant. You know exactly what you're gonna get every day. The best times for me with the instrument is when it feels a part of me. When it's just like, it feels like it's another limb. But sometimes it feels like an instrument, that's something that you've picked up and that you're gonna work. And that's gonna be a hard night, And so I always strive for the moments where it just feels as natural as it can, It's not perfect, it's never perfect, but it's always honest. Music can change people. Music can heal people. Music can give direction where there's no direction. So it is important as a musician to know what music can do, not you, but the music. And so what I always try and do is to therefore tell my story as authentic as possible. And I allow the music that comes through me to come through me without me standing in its way.
Surprising to some is that Mandisi needs to stay as physically fit as he is musically. Having played with greats from Jimmy Dludlu to the Abdullah Ibrahim Big Band has made it a must.
I play a wind instrument, you know. So some people will say the running helps with the playing of the trumpet and the trumpet playing helps with the running. But I do think that we owe it to ourselves to do something, to be physical, you know, so that we can take care of our bodies, and in return, our bodies will take care of us. The creative process can be very strenuous to your brain, you know, and for me, running, sweating, spending time by myself on the road is sort of a meditation of some sort, but it also allows me time to get out of myself. And also, performing for people is physical. And I think a certain level of fitness is required for you to stay at your top, you know, to give people the performances that they deserve. Because I always feel that it's an honor to perform for people. I do, therefore, everything I can to prepare myself for the stage, and that includes physical training.
Since tea is such a popular and soothing beverage for vocalists, we'd asked tea master Ming-Wei Tsai to offer our guest trio a tasting of his finest blends.
So in this fast-moving world of ours, we never had time to really sit down and enjoy the aroma of tea, the movement of tea. So in a tea connection like this, Nigiro try and have an opportunity for people to sit down and just give themselves a moment to just slow down. And sometimes the world opens when we slow down a little bit.
Like Mandisi's ear for the authentic in music, the palate is a natural judge of real flavor.
There will be 5 different teas right now. There will be 5 different colors. There will be 5 different stories. And if we choose these teas by ourselves, according to the flavors and according to the stories of the teas, there will be 5 different days to talk about.
Every taste that I tasted today sort of shocked me, you know, the different infusions that I've done, and just the simplicity of it. You know, tasting tea in its purest form, which is like nothing we've tasted before, actually. Yeah, so it's opened my eyes so much.
It all just tastes so different but beautiful as well. There's certain combinations that I never thought could work together that work really well, like cocoa and vanilla black tea. Like, never experienced anything like it, to be honest. Even the whole preparation, like everything was the perfect temperature, everything was just perfect.
To a man whose happy place is the meeting of Afro, soul, and jazz music, these blends made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think we were different. We created different, and me acknowledging indigenous music is acknowledging my difference. You know, it's acknowledging that I'm not like the other person, and there's a certain grouping of people I belong, you know, with, and that sort of grouping can then influence, you know, other groupings. Like these tastes, you know, can be infused with other groupings, and I'm more obsessed with knowing who I am. So the whole thing about indigenous music or traditional music, if you like, is merely a way of me understanding who I am.
Get more of the Insider Essay online. Follow, connect, engage, and be inspired to live better with the Insider Essay. Watch the show Monday evenings at 5:30. Repeat Saturday at 1 on S3.